No, I will do a very good job in this area because I understand fiscal policy.
Right.
And I tell you this, my commitment to the people of Gibraltar is this. I will raise government revenues as a result of the knowledge and experience that I bring to this. That at the end of the day is what counts.
Good job.
No, I will had very numerous meetings with the tax office. One of my ministerial portfolios relates to taxation. In fact, taxation was a matter which the chief minister assumed responsibility for, Fabian as chief minister previously, and Peter Caruana, when Peter Caruana was the chief minister of Gibraltar. I have assumed responsibility for that. I have had 1 or 2 meetings a week with the Commissioner of Income Tax. I'm delighted by the level of engagement. I have approved the resourcing in the Income Tax Office of 2 seconded senior professionals that will help and support the tax office in the areas that we feel are important for the government in terms of raising corporate taxation from large businesses, not from individuals such as yourself or myself. It's a question of keeping abreast of tax developments and therefore making sure that the tax authorities are in a position where they can challenge companies in terms of positions that they take when making and submitting tax returns, which don't necessarily reflect the value that ought to be attributed to profits in Gibraltar, given the substance and activity conducted from within the jurisdiction. That is critical to our policy priority of not just growing the economy, but ensuring that the proper amount of tax is paid in Gibraltar in order to allow us to deliver on the very manifesto commitments that you've obviously highlighted we need to work on.
And in short, you're confident that that is possible without putting off those large organisations?
It is possible because in some cases, let me give you an example, Jonathan, if I can. In some cases, it's not a question that the correct amount of tax is not being paid other than because other tax authorities in other jurisdictions are competing for the same revenue within the group. So therefore, what I need to ensure is that the tax office in Gibraltar has a seat in the table so that when we discuss and negotiate exactly what level of revenue ought to be taxed in Gibraltar, that our voice is heard loud and clear. The easiest thing for any government is to apply a blanket tax provision that hits, people hardest and certainly the wrong people. That is not my approach to my ministerial responsibility. This is targeted. I'm looking at big businesses. I'm looking at the policy imperative of companies paying the correct amount of tax in Gibraltar. We haven't increased taxes for any working person in Gibraltar. On the contrary, we've reduced PAYE taxes. I expect that when the financial year ends on the 31st of March, we will have, as a result of the policy initiatives and the implementation of our tax strategy, that we will have record corporate tax receipts in Gibraltar. More corporate tax than we have ever done in the history of Gibraltar.
And what is the result, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, the result is the largest single year transfer of wealth from big business to the public purse in Gibraltar's history. This revenue has protected public services, helped us provide security, and helped stabilize our public finances, all without increasing the burden on ordinary working people. Again, Madam Speaker, we have to pause here now. We've got to pause here now. The Honourable Chief Minister in his budget address made the point, a point that I've made both in this House and indeed on many occasions outside this House, that in the last budget, Madam Speaker, the government reduced the rates of personal tax, the 2% rate. in reduction in personal tax, Madam Speaker. And that was costed at 18 million pounds. So we started the tax year, Madam Speaker, ignoring the figures that we lay before Parliament this week. We started the tax year down by 18 million pounds of tax revenues. And to put it into perspective as well, Madam Speaker, if we were to raise, if any government of Gibraltar today were to raise 50 million pounds, not in the way that we've raised it, and it's not 50 million, it's nearer to 60 million, not in the way that we have raised it, but by increasing personal tax rates, which certainly we haven't done and that we are not contemplating, we would have been required to increase the rate of personal tax in Gibraltar by 6%, Madam Speaker, to have delivered the equivalent tax result that we have done using our national tax strategy. So therefore, Madam Speaker, by any standard of achievement, this would, in plain English sense, in the plain English sense of the word, be described as truly exceptional. So therefore, when the Chief Minister uses the word exceptional in its technical accounting sense, as he rightly did in his budget address on Monday, from now on I suggest that maybe when the Leader of the Opposition goes before GBC and does an interview, he quotes me instead of quoting the Chief Minister in a technical sense. Exceptional, he should say, this is truly exceptional, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the Honourable Leader of the Opposition says that the government has been saved by higher corporate tax revenue. It is a curious form of criticism to question the classification of revenue we worked hard to secure, while at the same time acknowledging its essential role in stabilising our public finances. Madam Speaker, if success on this scale is called being saved, then I say, let us continue saving Gibraltar, because all countries are facing the same challenges, Madam Speaker. I am therefore proud of what we have delivered, and I am confident that the steps we are taking at the Income Tax Office will lead to lasting improvements in compliance, as I will go on to explain. To my knowledge, the corporate tax year on Gibraltar has never at any point in our history reached anywhere near these levels. Another unprecedented achievement. This speaks volume for the effectiveness of our national tax strategy, one that I have previously explained in this House. Madam Speaker, these outstanding results are no accident. They are the product of a well-designed and carefully implemented policy. Nor are these numbers just statistics. They reflect a huge amount of work.